Hi. This is a question of law in the state of New Hampshire. I usually talk about things that affect the whole country, but I live in New Hampshire, so today I'm going to talk specifically about the state of New Hampshire. The New Hampshire Constitution claims that we have a right of revolution. Well, that right has been revoked by common sense. Common sense tells you that as the authorities in the United States, we the people cannot revolt against ourselves. What would we do? Have cops hold us down so we can punch ourselves in the face and throw ourselves out of office, an office that we're not elected to as owners? We're all born into that office as the owners of the United States and the owners of New Hampshire. In the New Hampshire Constitution, which was written by enemy attorneys, they put things into it to usurp our position as the authorities. One of those things is this idiotic right to revolt against ourselves. By embracing that right that the attorneys supposedly gave you, you're embracing your right to be stupid, to allow attorneys to usurp your position as the authority and then obey their rules that tell you what you have to do before you can reform the government. Let's go see the weasel words that the attorneys put in Article 10 of the New Hampshire Constitution to usurp our position as the authorities from us and to try to stop people who are stupid enough to obey attorneys from revolting or reforming the government. Let's find that page. I can't find it. I can't switch off from this computer to the page for the New Hampshire Constitution, but I remembered enough of it that I can talk about it. It claims that we have to exhaust all available means of redress or something to that effect. And then, after attorneys give us permission, perhaps we can reform the government. But we don't need permission from attorneys, because we're the authorities. So I hereby void the New Hampshire Constitution, because I'm the owner of New Hampshire. There are about 1.4 million other owners of New Hampshire. And what we say goes. We're the authorities. The attorneys are enemy combatants waging a war of subversion against us. That's why they wrote this Constitution in 1784 with things like the right to revolution, to usurp our position as the authorities from us. Yeah, I keep repeating that because it's important. You have to understand that as the authorities, you can do anything you want. It says so in the Declaration of Independence. Our independence was declared by the authority of the good people of these colonies, a phrase that excludes attorneys. Nobody in their right mind would consider attorneys to be good people. They're scum, and everybody should know that. Further, in the preamble of the United States Constitution, it tells us that we the people wrote it. That means we the people can rewrite it and fix all the flaws that the attorneys put into it. Of course, we might also have to go back to the Treaty of Paris from 1783, where three enemies of the people of the United States, named Esquire, signed that treaty. Ben Franklin, John Adams, and John Jay, all named Esquire, which means enemy attorney, serving our enemies in the British Crown. That's who wrote the New Hampshire Constitution. enemies of the people of New Hampshire and the people of the United States. So the New Hampshire Constitution is now void. You can back me up on that by liking and sharing my video, or by making your own video and asserting yourself as the owner of New Hampshire, just like I am. 1.4 million owners of New Hampshire do not have to take any crap from the attorneys who usurp that position as the authorities from us. We have 330 million Americans and only 1.3 million attorneys in our country. Those 330 million owners minus 1.3 million attorneys could certainly defeat those 1.3 million attorneys if we all recognize that they are our enemies from the enemy we defeated in the Revolution, known as the British Crown, which contains the Bar Association, which controls the actions of every attorney on earth. Do you understand? This is a very simple thing. If you want to change the government in New Hampshire, we can just do it. We don't have to obey Article 10 in the New Hampshire Constitution, which has now been voided. We don't have to satisfy any form of redress to try to ask the government to fix itself. The government won't fix itself because it's been 100% corrupt for over 100 years. And that certainly includes New Hampshire, which is one of the most corrupt states in the country. In New Hampshire, some people recently formed an organization of We the People in New Hampshire, which has the potential to take off on what I'm telling you here and provoke everyone in New Hampshire to assert themselves as the highest authorities above our government servants and above the enemy attorneys who think of themselves as the authorities. They aren't. They're enemies. Attorneys are enemies. Keep repeating that to yourself till it sinks in. I'll keep repeating it in the hope that it will sink in. The British Crown is named in the last paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, our supreme law, as enemies to whom we resolved ourselves from all allegiance to. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand it? It's pretty simple. You own New Hampshire. You own the United States. You are the highest authorities. Cops are not authorities. Cops are public servants. Judges are not authorities. They're public servants. Attorneys general are not authorities. They're public servants. The media is not an authority. The media is owned by our enemies who own the Federal Reserve, and the media, TV, and the press are our enemies. If you took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, it should dawn on you that TV is a domestic enemy. Attorneys are domestic enemies. Bribe-lying politicians named Democrat and Republican are domestic enemies. Your job should be clear. If you're carrying a badge or wearing a gun, or if you're in the military and took that oath, you have to stop the politicians and the attorneys from usurping our position as the authorities and destroying our freedom. Because that's what attorneys and politicians have been doing ever since 3 enemy attorneys signed that Treaty of Paris in 1783, and ever since George Washington allowed the first attorney in our government for the position of Attorney General, when we should have had a Freedom General to keep the goddamn attorneys out of our government. It should be easy to understand. Do you see it? Will you talk about it? If you're in an organization like We the People New Hampshire, will you think about more than just defeating corrupt politicians in an election and removing the most dangerous enemies from our government, the attorneys, who usurped our position as the authorities and now give orders to the cops to arrest us for not obeying orders from enemies known as attorneys, who make rules or laws maybe that restrict our freedom. They can't do that. And you're the one that has the authority to stop it. The 1.4 million people in New Hampshire have to unite with that attitude that we are the highest authority and stop all the attorneys and stop all the people who obey attorneys. We can't have an attorney general. We have to abolish that position and create a position for a freedom general. These are things you have to talk about if you want your freedom back. You can't just win elections. You have to get rid of the goddamn fucking attorneys who are everywhere in our government destroying our freedom. Thanks for watching.